Joe Flacco was still starting when Jimmy Haslam snapped. The Browns owner had seen enough, and when Kevin Stefanski refused to make Shedeur Sanders the starter, he got the boot. That wasn't speculation. It was the whole story. Haslam, reportedly furious over the coaching staff's decision to keep Sanders on the bench, pulled the plug on Stefanski and made his intentions clear: play the rookie or get out of the way. And Stefanski got out, whether he wanted to or not. This wasn't about wins or stats. It was about image. Haslam didn't just want Sanders on the field. He wanted him front and center, a symbol of a bold new chapter. The problem? The Browns weren't ready to turn the page. And once again, chaos followed. Stefanski's call to stick with Flacco was classic coach logic: go with experience, keep the locker room steady, protect the rookie's development. But in Cleveland, logic doesn't survive ownership interference. Sanders had a strong preseason, sure. His college numbers were electric. But that wasn't enough. Haslam wanted fireworks. He wanted buzz. And when Stefanski refused to play along, it cost him his job. The fans? Already fed up. Cleveland has been living in quarterback purgatory for years. Every season brings a new name, a new next big thing, and a new list of excuses when it falls apart. The chants for Sanders were getting louder. Flacco, despite being solid, was treated like a placeholder no one asked for. And as the noise escalated, the Browns leaned into dysfunction like it was a game plan. The media tore into it. One coach after another flushed down the same drain. One quarterback controversy after another fumbled like a live grenade. And at the center of it all, Jimmy Haslam. Pulling strings like this is his personal fantasy league. Stefanski wasn't fired for failure. He was fired for noncompliance. Now, Shedeur Sanders is poised to step into a burning house. The fans expect a miracle. The owner expects a PR win. And the media's ready to feast. The Browns haven't created a winning environment. They've built a trap. Sanders might be the real deal. He might be everything the franchise needs. But what happens when he struggles? What happens when the next loss comes, and there's no coach left to take the fall?
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
This isn't a long-term plan, it's a power play. And it's one Cleveland has run too many times. The Browns don't just have a quarterback problem. They have a leadership crisis. And firing Stefanski to fast-track a rookie debut didn't solve anything. It just reset the clock on another round of dysfunction. Kevin Stefanski is out, and the Cleveland Browns are on fire, again. Not because of a losing streak. Not because of locker room chaos. Not because the team collapsed on the field. Stefanski was fired for something far more damning in the Browns universe: defying the owner's demand to start a rookie quarterback. Yes, that's what took him down. Not bad football. Not scandal. Not dysfunction. Just good, old-fashioned disagreement with Jimmy Haslam. This isn't new for Cleveland. What is new is just how open and direct the latest disaster is. Stefanski didn't tiptoe around Haslam's demand. He flat-out refused to start Shedeur Sanders, the rookie QB who, according to ownership, had to be on the field. And instead of folding under pressure, Stefanski stood by his plan to start Joe Flacco. A veteran. A proven name. A safe pair of hands. And that was it. That was the end. Because in today's Cleveland, coaching decisions don't come from the sideline. They come from upstairs. Let's break it down. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a flashy new draft pick. He was a high-profile, media darling, crowd-hyping prospect. His college stats were solid. His preseason performance impressed. And with the Browns' endless quarterback carousel, fans were desperate for a savior. The chants started early. The pressure mounted. And Haslam saw his opportunity. He wanted a spectacle. He wanted Sanders now. Not because it made sense on paper. Not because the roster was ready to rally around a rookie. But because it looked good. It played well in the press. It made waves on social media. But Stefanski had other plans. He stuck with Flacco. Not because Flacco was better long-term, but because he was better right now. The safer option for a team that desperately needed wins, not buzz. Stefanski chose strategy over spectacle. And for that, he was shown the door. This is where Cleveland proves, again, why it can't have nice things. Because Stefanski wasn't just any coach. He was one of the few who brought actual stability to a historically chaotic team. He led them to the playoffs. He gave the Browns a brief moment of legitimacy. And now, gone. Over a quarterback dispute driven by ego and optics. It's not a football problem. It's a leadership crisis. This firing wasn't about performance. It was about power. Haslam wanted Sanders on the field. Stefanski said no. End of story. But firing a coach for refusing to play a rookie quarterback is more than just dramatic. It's dangerous. It sets a precedent. A very public one. If you're a coach in Cleveland, you're not just answering to your GM or the scoreboard. You're answering to an owner chasing headlines. That's not just unstable. That's toxic. And the worst part? It doesn't just hurt the team's leadership. It puts Shedeur Sanders in a no-win situation. Because now, Sanders isn't just stepping into a quarterback role. He's stepping into a franchise crisis. His debut won't be about development or learning the system. It'll be about justifying a firing. Every snap he takes will be scrutinized. Every incomplete pass will be a referendum on Haslam's decision. Every mistake will echo, was Stefanski right? That is not how you develop a rookie. It's how you destroy one. We've seen this story before. The Browns have made quarterbacking into a graveyard. From Brady Quinn to Johnny Manziel to Baker Mayfield and beyond, Cleveland eats quarterbacks alive. Not always because they weren't good enough, but because the structure around them was rotten from the top down. And now, Shedeur Sanders is being handed the keys to a car that's already on fire. He has talent, no doubt. He performed well in college. His preseason flashes turned heads. But now, he's been placed at the center of a storm. And let's be honest, he didn't ask for this. He didn't demand to start. He didn't publicly challenge the coach. But now he's been crowned the face of the franchise. Not because of merit or momentum, but because ownership decided he sells better than Flacco. And when the owner is the one making football decisions, it's not a team, it's a vanity project. Let's talk about the locker room. You think the players don't see what just happened? You think they don't notice when a respected coach gets fired because he won't bow to a non-football decision? That locker room is now divided. Some players backed Stefanski. Others just want clarity. And all of them now know that their jobs, their game plans, their trust in the coaching staff, it's all secondary to the whims of an impatient owner. That breeds resentment. That kills buy-in. That ruins culture. Because no matter how hard you play or how well you execute, someone else is calling the shots from a luxury suite, and you're just supposed to fall in line. This is how franchises collapse from the inside. And let's not forget the fans. The chance for Sanders? That wasn't just about the quarterback. That was about desperation. Cleveland fans are tired. Tired of false starts. Tired of coaching turnover. Tired of QB drama. Tired of being the butt of every sports talk punchline. They wanted something new. Something to believe in. But now, instead of a promising rookie ushering in a new era, they've got yet another coach fired midstream, a quarterback thrown into the deep end, and a franchise that still doesn't seem to know what it's doing. This wasn't the beginning of a renaissance. It was another reboot, with the same broken hardware. Now here comes the hard part. Whoever they hire next will be walking into a no-win situation. If they push Sanders and he fails, they'll be blamed. If they try to slow things down, they'll be fired like Stefanski. The job is poisoned. Because the message is clear, head coaches in Cleveland aren't leaders. They're messengers. And Shedeur? If he succeeds, it'll be in spite of this mess, not because of it. And if he struggles, he'll be buried under the weight of a franchise that asked him to carry the hopes of a city, the insecurities of an owner, and the reputation of a front office, all in his rookie year. Cleveland had a choice. Develop Sanders the right way. Trust the coach. Build a plan. Give fans a foundation. Instead, they went for the shortcut. Now, all eyes are on a rookie QB who's being asked to save a franchise that keeps tripping over its own ego. So what's your take? Was Stefanski justified in refusing to play Sanders, or did he misread the moment? Haslam pushed his agenda and got what he wanted, but will it pay off? And most importantly, does Shedeur have any real chance of success in this pressure cooker? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear it all. The hot takes, the frustration, the predictions for how this saga plays out. And if you're still trying to make sense of the Browns' never-ending drama, make sure to subscribe. Because the next meltdown? It's probably already brewing. At this point, the Cleveland Browns aren't just a struggling football team, they're a cautionary tale in real time. The firing of Kevin Stefanski wasn't just another chapter in their turbulent history. It was a warning shot to every coach, coordinator, and player in the building. In Cleveland, football decisions are secondary to optics. And let's be absolutely clear, this wasn't about wins and losses. This was about control. It was about an owner who wanted to be the smartest guy in the room, regardless of who was actually holding the playbook. Stefanski said no. And for that, he paid the price. Let's rewind just a bit further. Stefanski was brought in to fix Cleveland. After years of turnover, quarterback busts, and coaching casualties, he offered something rare in this organization: stability. He had the locker room. He had a vision. He delivered a playoff win, which in Cleveland is treated like a Super Bowl parade. So how does a guy like that get tossed mid-season? Because he didn't play the PR game. He didn't treat Shedeur Sanders like a walking marketing campaign. He didn't cave to the pressure from an owner chasing headlines or fans starved for a shiny new savior. He looked at the roster, the tape, and the calendar, and said, "Not yet." That's it. That was the crime. Sanders had a strong preseason, sure. He looked sharp, confident, and already in moments. But let's be real, preseason is not the regular season. Every coach in the league knows that. And Stefanski knew the smartest way to handle a rookie quarterback is to give him time. Not bench him forever. Not bury him. Just ease him into a role that's unforgiving when mishandled. But Haslam didn't want ease in. He wanted a rollout. A full-blown Shedeur Sanders era, whether the team was ready or not. And when Stefanski stood his ground, he was gone before the week was over. Now the team is rudderless. The quarterback room is under a microscope, and Haslam is front and center, again, for all the wrong reasons. You can't build a franchise this way. There's a reason successful organizations, from the Chiefs to the Eagles to the Bills, hire football minds and let them work. They give their coaches time. They develop quarterbacks properly. They trust process over pressure. That's what Stefanski was trying to do. But in Cleveland, that's treated like sabotage. And let's talk about what this means for Shedeur Sanders. This kid did everything right. He played well in college. Carried himself like a pro in the preseason. Stayed out of drama. Worked. Waited. And now? He's being launched into a franchise in flames. His NFL debut will be less about football and more about cleaning up the aftermath of a power struggle he had nothing to do with. And that's not fair. He's no longer just a rookie. He's a symbol. A pawn. The central figure in a battle between long-term planning and short-term spectacle. And that's not how you develop a quarterback. That's how you derail one. You want a real quarterback controversy? Watch what happens if Sanders struggles early. The boos won't just be about interceptions. They'll be about the choice to fire Stefanski. The chance won't just be for a different QB, they'll be for a different owner. And Sanders, despite doing nothing wrong, will be caught in the crosshairs. This is how Cleveland kills quarterbacks. Not with schemes. Not with bad coaching. But with expectation overload, disjointed leadership, and premature pressure. The worst part is, it didn't have to be this way. They could have brought Sanders along the right way. Start him in packages. Let him take over when he was ready. Build confidence. Let the locker room rally around him organically. Instead, they forced it. And when you force things in Cleveland, you get headlines, not wins. Now let's talk about the future, for real. Because this decision doesn't just affect the next game. It affects the next coach. Who takes this job now? What serious football mind is going to walk into a situation where the owner is making game day calls from the owner's suite? You're not coaching the team. You're babysitting a billionaire's fantasy team. And every coach in the league sees it. Good luck trying to hire anyone with real autonomy. The Browns are now stuck with a narrative they created. And it's not one they can escape until they prove they're willing to let football be run by football people. Not executives. Not marketing departments. Not impatient billionaires. Until then, it won't matter how good Shedeur is. Or how talented the roster is. Or how loud the fans are. Because the system will always sabotage itself. The locker room knows this. Players know when something is rotten. When decisions are made for PR, not production. When coaches are being overruled, and when the direction changes week to week. That's how you lose the room. You think veterans want to stay in that environment? You think free agents look at Cleveland and say, yeah, that's where I want to be? Not when the playbook is rewritten in boardrooms and football logic is discarded for Twitter engagement. The only thing that can save the situation now is Shedeur Sanders playing lights out from the first snap. He needs to be better than good. He needs to be historic. Not just for the team, but for the ownership's decision to look even halfway justifiable. That's what's on his shoulders now. And if he struggles even a little, the entire situation will implode, again. Because there's no Stefanski to deflect the criticism. No veteran to fall back on. No plan B. This is it. Haslam bet the entire franchise on one quarterback, one move, and one forced narrative. And let's not forget, the media won't let this go. This isn't a quiet internal dispute. This is national news. Analysts, reporters, former players, they're all watching to see if Cleveland finally got it right or if they've just added another entry to their long, depressing highlight reel of dysfunction. Because right now, it's not just about football. It's about reputation, about trust, about whether this team can finally evolve into something more than a meme. So far, not looking great. But maybe, just maybe, Shedeur is the exception. Maybe he does shine. Maybe he proves that the chaos doesn't matter. That the dysfunction can be silenced by performance. But even if that happens, the Browns are still left with a system that eats its own. And unless that changes, no amount of quarterback talent will ever be enough. Here's the brutal truth. The Cleveland Browns didn't just fire a head coach. They detonated their own stability. Kevin Stefanski wasn't perfect. No coach is. But in a franchise allergic to continuity, he was the closest thing to a steady hand this team had seen in years. And now, they've thrown it all away, not for a proven successor, not because the team was crumbling, but because the man refused to turn a rookie quarterback into a PR puppet. Let that sink in. Stefanski said, Shedeur's not ready yet. Haslam said, play him anyway. Stefanski stuck to football logic. And Haslam pulled the plug. If you've followed this team for more than 10 minutes, you already know how this ends. Because this isn't about Sanders. It's not even about Stefanski. It's about a franchise that still hasn't figured out that culture wins games long before talent does. And what they did? They sent a message loud and clear. To players, coaches, the league, football takes a back seat here. The headlines run the show. That's not just embarrassing. That's lethal for a team trying to build anything real. And now all eyes are on Shedeur Sanders. He's talented. That's not up for debate. He showed that in college. He showed flashes in the preseason. He has poise. He has presence. But now he has something else, pressure that shouldn't be his to carry. Because this team didn't make a football decision. It made a political one. And now, every snap Shedeur takes will be loaded with expectation. He's not just trying to earn a win, he's trying to validate an owner's ego. And if he falters, the backlash won't just be about interceptions. It'll be about the structure, the firing, the dysfunction behind the scenes. It's setting him up to fail. This kid deserved a clean runway. A team that developed him without making him the center of controversy. Instead, he's being launched into a firestorm. You think defenses aren't going to tee off on him? You think rival teams don't know what kind of circus he just inherited? That's blood in the water. And while the fan base is desperate to believe, because, honestly, they've been starving for a reason to believe, they've also seen this script. High expectations. No support. Total collapse. We've seen it with Baker. With Manziel. With every next guy up that this franchise has rolled out under banners of hope, only to see them fall under the weight of disorganization and chaos. This time, They just made it more dramatic. They didn't even try to hide the dysfunction. They fired a playoff-winning head coach mid-season over a quarterback dispute. It's not even subtle anymore. It's not internal. It's out in the open. And what about the locker room? You think the players are just nodding along? Players loved Stefanski. He held them accountable. He gave them a plan. He was one of the few voices in that building that felt like football first. And now that voice is gone. Overruled. Replaced not by another coach, but by a message from ownership: do what we say, or get out. That's the kind of thing that fractures teams. That poisons culture. And don't even get started on who wants this job next. Who's walking into this mess willingly? Who's going to accept a head coaching role knowing they have no autonomy over the most important position on the field? Who's going to trust that the next disagreement won't get them fired? The Browns haven't just lost a coach, they've lost credibility. And it's going to cost them. Because long after this news cycle fades, and long after Sanders' first start, whether he wins or loses, the foundation will still be cracked. The structure will still be unstable. And every coach and player coming through that door will remember, you're only safe as long as you say yes to the guy upstairs. This isn't how winning franchises operate. This is how teams stay stuck in the same cycle. Fire. Hire. Hype. Collapse. Repeat. And the saddest part? This time, it actually could have been different. Stefanski wasn't perfect, but he had a plan. Sanders was part of that plan. But now that plan's been thrown out the window for a headline. And if Sanders doesn't immediately meet expectations, we all know who will be blamed. Not the owner. Not the instability. Not the toxic culture. It'll be the kid. The rookie. The guy who walked into this firestorm without asking for it. That's not development. That's disaster management dressed up as optimism. So what do you think? Was Stefanski right to stand his ground? Did Haslam just cost the Browns another decade of dysfunction? And can Shedeur survive this spotlight, or has he been set up to fail from day one? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want all of them. Frustration. Receipts. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because with Cleveland, there's always another storm coming.